behind those figures really are deep cracks that our foundation has been built on, then there should be some level of acceptance looking at that dichotomy, because it's very paradoxical, is that not it? I mean, living on false hope.
Thank you very much. I always admire Honorable Mesa when he is in a position of trying to defend the indefensible.
Alex.
Yes, I'll explain why I said
Alex.
so. I'm not attacking you. I'm just saying that it's indefensible. Why? Let me, when you put up those figures on the screen.
You liked it. We're getting 3 billion.
Yeah, but something hits me with those figures. That's 3 billion which we are going to get from this year 2023 to 2026. And go and check how much money we got under COVID. Close to 3 billion. In the space of almost 12 months, we had been able to get 3 billion. To bring us out of this mess that we are in, we are going to get 3 billion over 3 years. And someone gave us 3 billion. IMF for World Bank gave us 1 billion alone. Straight, boom, during COVID. And we were not able to stand up. When we are supposed to stand up using 3 billion, the only difference is that now there's a policeman watching how you are spending that money to ensure. But there was no policeman there. So you have squandered that 3 billion. And up to today, we are finding...
What do you mean by squandered? On what premise are you making that conclusion?
Because we are not satisfied with the COVID explanation. The COVID funds, the report that came out is in the indictment of government. We are not saying the report is there. There are many unanswered questions. And we will look into it further at the appropriate time. So that, for me, is the first tranche on that matter. The next tranche on the matter is, I'm tired of this COVID and Russian-Ukraine.
Well, even the IMF in this document that I've read it twice.
Yes, but what did you say?
All the 136 pages.
What?
Existing and fiscal debt. Yes.
Before we got to COVID, we had issues.
Why? You mean we're already in the ICU?
I think that we're almost close to the morgue. So you have a situation where you have borrowed yourself into a problem. It is not, why are we having all these issues of, we can't pay our debts. When did COVID come to us and say borrow money? When did Russia and Ukraine come and say borrow money? It was a decision made by our leaders at the time that they were going to borrow this money. Almost, $1 billion, dollars every year on the euro market.
You are saying that's what sustained us?
That is their decision. And how we were shouting from the back, you are borrowing too much, too quick. You have a problem. All the way from 2017, when they went into this borrowing spree, even though they were on an IMF program, which the moment they came out, they went straight into the euro market and started borrowing willy-nilly. Now, that is a decision of government. It's not a decision of me and you. We have brought the government went to borrow. And at the time when the time was now due to pay, those who had planned, those who had failed to planned to fail, and that's Ghana. Because, you see, my brother, we forget the amount of money we left these people, the MPP. They came and met 2 oil wells. Never in the history of Ghana has that happened. We were working with 1 and got us where we were. You have come to meet this extra revenue. How much of this extra revenue did you put down for a rainy day, which has now arrived or then arrived? Why is it that Botswana doesn't have this problem?
Because Botswana's economy is not the same as Ghana's economy. You have to make comparisons.
Excuse me.
That are of the same, right?
When they want to make comparisons, it suits them to use other countries. then let's not make any comparison with any country. Because every country is independent. Let's not make any comparison again with any country. Because why? The IMF doesn't work in isolation. It works with other countries. Helps other countries. And they are there. Why? Were we not in this country when people said they won't go to the IMF? Were we not? From Kennedy Ajipon, their flag bearer, to Baumia, their potential flag bearer, to Ken Oforiatta, their finance minister, to the president. We are not going to IMF.
I don't know since when Kennedy Japan became the flag bearer of the MPP. But
I didn't say flag bearer. I said potential. If I did, I apologize.
Because
Potential flag bearer.
Please go ahead.
I'm talking of those who are contesting or who have declared.
That's a tangential. Please, let's go.
So,
because I heard you say.
No, so that's, he was asking me, that's why I responded.
no, I do apologize if that's listen. But the point I'm making is,
Maybe he's seeing him to be the flag bearer. Is that what you're...
I'm not going that far.
Okay.
I've
go ahead.
woken
Go
up
ahead.
a long
Go
time
ahead.
ago.
Go ahead.
But the point is, they all said we were not going to the IMF. They made IMF the monster. Why? Because of the statements they had made when we went to the IMF. That it's incompetent management of economies that sent people to the IMF. You can see, Kojo Nkrumah said this, made this statement, Gabi Ochidaku made it. It's all on social media.
Maybe it was a policy communication of government.
That what?
That, of
We
course,
were in government.
inherently,
We
they
were in
realize the
government.
IMF is good, but they can't communicate that publicly. That's
And
also-
because of those statements, they decided they didn't, and that is part of the problem. They went to IMF late. At the time when we were shouting for them to go, our macroeconomic indicators were not anything close to where they are. And if they had gone when our macroeconomic indicators were a bit at a lower level, the terms and conditions would have differed. So you needed to get there early. They didn't. Everybody was saying, go to the IMF. You said you won't go.
On what premise are you making that statement? Are you benchmarking it with the last time we went to IMF in 2015?
In 2015,
That we didn't have to do...
2015, we got to a point where we realized we had to go to the IMF. We did our homegrown policy, took it to the IMF and said, look, this is what we want to do. But to give us credibility, we want you to say that this is okay and we'll go into your program. So there was no conditions or whatever that was created by the IMF in our program. It was something that we had looked at, put forward, and apart from a little tweaking here and there, it was our policy. We didn't have any problems because this is what we said we will do. And that is why in 2016, we didn't borrow 1 cent from the Bank of Ghana.
Segbefia, but you have to be fair to government. The fact that there was not a centralized national forum of stakeholders, whether from bipartisan or civil society or other spheres of our society, doesn't make our program nonetheless the less successful or not compact.
Why? I've told you that it's about planning. If up until 2 weeks in July, we were saying we were not going to the IMF, what plan had they made for the IMF? What plan? You were not going to go. You had made up your mind. You were not going. So what plan? Did you have a track, something you were planning, how to incorporate? We did that. That's the point I'm making. We looked at our facts. We decided we have to go. And we went. But before we went, we had already packaged ourselves. You had made no plan. And now you have to now reverse and begin to do all things. Look, let me be clear. Even the name of their policy, because that's what it is. It's a policy document. Ghana Beyond Aid. It's a policy document. But the name was meant to send a message. Are we anywhere close to that message? The trajectory we are on, does it give up? Even at the time. So I'm clear. The IMF program, we said to them, go earlier. It's important because circumstances can lead you there. But it's because of borrowing that we are here. Not COVID or, for that matter, Russia and Ukraine. Our borrowing was not good. And we know who was borrowing, how much was being borrowed, and who benefited from the borrowing.
Okay.